Good morning, everybody. Man, it is Saturday morning, and I've got some silver to collect. All right, doing a kickstart today. Man, doing a kickstart. These are awesome. I love them in the morning. All right, so this isn't going to be like my typical. Well, I suppose I do more of this than I do sterling that I purchase. So it's definitely not as easy as just buying sterling. There's a little bit of labor involved in this. But anyways, so where I get the majority of my silver is from things like this, contacts. So each one of these guys in here, there's two contacts. So there's one on top and then one on the bottom. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 sets. In this one, let's see here. Ooh, throwing stuff around. These are relays, right? So each one of these is going to have a set of contacts as well. And I know I've showed this a couple of times, but we've had a decent amount of subscribers, so they might not have, gone back and checked out the rest of my videos or happened to stumble on those yet. So this is where I get the most of my stuff. And I got, I'm an HVAC guy. I do commercial, but this is where the big stuff is. These are the nice ones. Those have a decent chunk of silver in them. We are coming out of the PM stages though, so I'm not getting nearly as many. So today we just got 3 of them, 3 contactors. But I do have, like some pressure switches. Let's see. This is an old humidistat, so a couple relays on there. And then I got 2 more of these. So it's basically just the board, and I grabbed the contacts off here, or the relays. So let's see here. Those black boxes there, those are each relays. And then same thing with this, there's switches in there. There's silver contacts in there, I should say. So I got 2 more, throwing stuff around. I got 2 more of those. And then just a couple little boards that have some more of those. So yeah, these guys, these little ones, sometimes you get lucky and they have like a semi decent size contact on there. Other times it's like, it's pretty tiny, and it's like you get that far and you're like, man, all that work for like just a peanut of silver. All right, well, let's get into breaking this down. So what I plan on doing with all this stuff, well, once I get the silver, the silver contacts out, Kickstarter hasn't kicked in yet. I'm gonna run these in Poor Man's AR, and then what I'm gonna do with just the contact is quart those with the rest of the karat gold I got. So I think I got, let's see here, 12 grams of 12 karat and then 3.3 grams of 18 karat. So we'll get that measured up, and then of course we'll do that with a couple nitric baths, and then go into AR with it. But this is going to be kind of a series, so I'm not going to do all of that in this video. Today's video is basically just going to be kind of a basic breakdown on how I do some of these things. Some of these dismantling videos people get bored of. And I don't blame them. It's definitely tedious. So I'll try to keep this one short and to the point, and we'll make it happen. All right, here's just a brief example of just some of the boards that I got. Now, that's not the only thing I get off of these boards. So like, for example, I got gold pins here. I grab all that stuff, all the ICCs. Yeah, I keep all that stuff. But for the time being, I am just going to go after our contacts. So keep this in a frame here. Rip them right off. Channel lock works pretty good. So I do this. There's definitely better ways, faster ways to do this, especially if you're outside. I don't do this outside. I tend to do it inside while I'm watching TV. So sitting there with the wife, I get to do both, you know. I get to have some time with the wife. She definitely got used to the noise, thankfully. Yeah, just sit there and do a little dismantling. Ooh, those ones came right off. That's nice. Let's see here. So here's the inside of them. So like I was saying, some of those are just peanuts. And that's actually not even bad in comparison to some of them. Let's see here. There's one that actually came off of there. So yeah, just a small amount. Just like that, all the contacts are off. I saved the board for later. Alright. I suppose you don't need to see that. I do the same thing with these guys. They're just a little bigger. And then our switch here, piece of cake. It just kind of comes off this out the front. I smashed these with a hammer. Alright. And then for the goods. See, these are the ones that I like. Definitely gonna have to start checking these out with a magnet, though. I'm curious if these are just brass plated steel. Oh, 1 second. Alright, back at it here. Kick those springs out. So these are the good ones. Well, better anyway. So that's, let's see if I can find one that's not all toasted up. Yeah, some of these get pretty bad. That one's not too bad. But you can see that's a much bigger piece of silver than that guy. All right, stumbled across them and found gold-plated ones. Yeah, buddy. We'll keep those aside. We'll do those later. And then here's that switch, right? I got it dismantled quick. Nice piece of silver on this one. So this one deals with a much higher voltage. These little ones are just 24 volts. And this one is 120. So you get a decent size little chunk of silver in there. I do have to make some ferrous sulfate crystals here coming up. So I might try and use this guy. Let's see if I can split these guys. These little pins. It should be relatively clean steel. Might make some good crystals. So I try to treat this like an assembly line. I get everything down to where I can access the, let's see here, where I can access the contact. So, you know, like this here, I'll just trim those contacts off. Everything is accessible. So that's the next step. So some of these switches, like this pressure switch here, it's a newer one. They're almost not worth it. So you've got your two contacts, right? Well, there's actually three, because you got one that moves in the middle. So you've got one that's actually silver, one that's actually silver, but it is such a tiny amount. You see that separation there? The other side is just brass. I just took this out for demonstration purposes. I usually just keep that in there because it's a pain in the butt to get that. See, these things are riveted together. So I just basically peel the guts out. I've got another one I could show you if you're interested. But they have a silver plated piece of copper. And then, this guy. So this is probably the biggest chunk of silver in those switches, which is on both sides. So, not the end of the world. All right, and then the next step is get rid of as much base metal as possible. This looks like a whole bunch, but let me assure you, it is not. All right, we ended up with 49.72 grams. I bet you a third of that is going to be actual silver. All right, and here we are. We are at the end. So I tried to keep this video short. I know they can get kind of tedious or drawn out depending on how long we go at it, especially when it's the same contacts over and over and over again. So I just wanted to kind of show you a brief example of how I get the majority of my silver. This time of year, it's pretty slow. But during PM times, I get quite a bit more of those bigger contacts, and yeah, it's a good stash of silver. I'll tell you that. It is tedious, however. It is tedious to get to them, but I don't think of this as like a $1 per hour gig, right? This is just a hobby. So, I mean, if I was going to break it down to $1 an hour, it'd be 2 hours on a couple grams of silver, you know what I mean? So you can't think of it as like that. I more so use it when I do have some downtime and like I'm watching TV. It's just a good way to keep the mind busy. I break stuff apart, and it just keeps me doing something. I have a hard time sitting still, so it breaks that time up perfect. Plus, I get some silver out of it. So here it is. It's all right in here. I'm not going to tell you how much I got. You're going to have to wait till Wednesday to get that. So tomorrow will be potassium nitrate and hydrochloric acid, poor man's aqua regia. I really like that for those bigger ones. It removes a significant amount of base metals for a fairly low price. But I have to figure out how to remove even more so before going into poor man's aqua regia. So that battle is on me. I got to figure that out. And then Wednesday will be the citric acid, salt, and hydrogen peroxide. It's a little less aggressive, and I use that for the smaller ones. And that works really well too. So I'll give you that information Wednesday. Thank you guys so much for watching. This exit video is getting really long, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.